Okay, I'm going to get started this morning by just welcoming all of you guys. Sawadee Kap. Welcome to Wat Tung. Sawadee Kap. Nice to see all of you guys here this morning. This is our group learning program where each Sunday and Wednesday we get together and I share teachings to help people understand the path to enlightenment as was taught by the Buddha during his lifetime. The path to enlightenment is to train your own mind, purifying your mind and training it to be able to get to this enlightened mental state where the mind can be peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. By the time you get to enlightenment, you're no longer experiencing any discontent feelings. You will have eliminated all the anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment. All of these feelings and others are eliminated from the enlightened mind. You'll notice focus, concentration, clarity, deep memory. You'll notice that your personal and professional relationships are really blossoming and they're at ease because you're not being bitter and harsh and hostile. You're not arguing in your relationships anymore. You'll get to the point where you don't even experience a bad mood anymore because all the causes and conditions that are producing the bad mood have been uprooted and eliminated from the mind. And what we do in this program over a 7-month period is I go each Sunday chapter by chapter in this book that we have, the very first book. It's called Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. It's a first volume of a 13-volume book series. The book series is titled The Words of the Buddha, The Path to Enlightenment, Revealing the Hidden, where we use the original words of the Buddha to be able to help you understand this path to enlightenment in training your mind. We start with meditation as part of our class. I'm going to help you guys do some meditation here in a moment. And then afterwards, what we'll do is we'll move into sharing teachings with you that are going to help you to be able to journey on this path to enlightenment. Today, we're in chapter 6, which is titled The Middle Way, Walking the Middle Way. This is a very simple, very basic teaching. It'll probably take me all of about maybe 20 or 30 minutes to teach it to you, and then I'll open up to whatever questions you guys have related to that, because you wouldn't be able to just meditate your way to enlightenment. It's not possible to just do meditation and get to enlightenment, but you also wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment without meditation either. So that's why we start our classes with meditation. So I'm going to guide you in a breathing mindfulness meditation practice, which is the primary form of meditation that the Buddha used among everything else. This was his primary form of training among all the other training that he did. So the way that we start with this meditation is we start with some chanting to ease the mind into meditation. This chanting is done in the Pali language. This is the original historical language of the teachings of the Buddha, that if you study his original teachings, it's in what we call the Pali Canon, and it uses the Pali language. So if you'd like to see these chants that we're going to be doing, they're on a laminated sheet over there on a table. You're welcome to get a laminated sheet if you like, and you can follow along. You can even chant along together if you like, and you'll see the English translation as well. During the lifetime of the Buddha, they used chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory because everything he taught was oral, and as he taught, they would remember his teachings, and every 2 weeks they would recite them word for word in chanting. So the chanting, it isn't a rite, a ritual, or a ceremony or worship. It's not prayer or anything like this. There's nothing mystical or magical about the chanting. It was only used to be able to help the students to commit the teachings to memory. Nowadays, people might associate certain mystical or magical benefits to it, but this isn't what the Buddha actually taught. The reason why I do chanting is because it helps to get more benefit out of the meditation itself, that it helps ease your mind into the meditation. So if you'd like to learn that, there's different classes and courses and programs where I teach the chanting, and you're welcome to learn that. And then when you come for meditation, whether you're here or whether you're joining us online, you're welcome to chant along and develop a chanting practice because it'll help you get more benefit out of the meditation itself. So I'm going to be doing some chanting as we ease into the meditation. And like I mentioned, you're welcome to chant along. Then there'll be a period of time where I'm providing you guidance. And then after that, it'll just be a period of time where we'll be quiet and we'll just all be meditating. Those of us here at the temple and everyone online, we can just all be meditating together. And then after the meditation, we'll come out of that with some more chanting as well. And that'll ease us out. And that's where I'll transition into the class. And then in terms of your body positioning to help you with meditation, there's actually 4 positions that the Buddha taught. There's seated, lying, standing, and walking position. And typically students are learning in the seated position when they're first getting started, either sitting on the floor in a chair on a sofa, on a bench, or something like this. But there are these other positions that are used for different reasons, and I teach those at different times. But since you guys are all sitting, I'll provide you some guidance with your body to kind of help you understand how to get comfortable. Is that if you're on the floor, oftentimes people like to sit with their legs crossed. In this, you would like to just have your legs lightly crossed. Some people like to put their legs off the mat, and this gets your hips up in the air, and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles, and allows the circulation to flow. And then the hands and the arms, the Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. But this practice isn't about everybody doing it exactly the same way. Different people are going to find different things that are comfortable. So you might find that putting your palms on your thighs or on your knees, your palms up, or placing your hands in your lap, any of these are potential options, or anywhere else that you would like to do with your hands and arms. Same things with your legs too. You just sit however you're comfortable, whether it's on the floor or it's in a chair. Just sit whatever's comfortable for you. You're not interested in the body being painful, but you're also not interested in being luxurious either. You would like it to be in the middle where it's nice and comfortable, because you need to go through the body in order to access the mind. That this body is like the employee and the boss is the mind. So you got to go through the employee in order to get to the boss. So if the employee is painful, it's not going to take you to go see the boss. You need to be able to go through this employee. So if the employee is painful or the employee is luxurious, it's not going to take you to go see the boss. You'd like the employee to be comfortable. So this is the middle. So with the body, you would like it to be in the middle where it's nice and comfortable. And then the upper body, it's helpful if it is erect. Whereas if your upper body was slouched, you'd have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. The mind would be inactive or complacent. But if you are real rigid with the upper body, your mind could be overactive or uptight or having anxiety or stress. So you like the upper body to be erect with your sternum up and your shoulders back. This will not only help to keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation, but it also help you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, some nice deep breaths as you're breathing in and out, and it'll be a nice comfortable breath. So again, if you'd like to chant along, you're welcome to do that. I'm going to ease us into meditation with some chanting, and then I'll come back with some guidance. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakeva Wat Tung Mahakavanang Apivatemi Savakhato Mahakavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakato Rokavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma sati sata tawa manusana Poto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, in the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then when you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, establishing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Once the breath is well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภะคะวาพุทธังภะคะวันตังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารณังสัมมุโนสัคคะโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรภูริสาดัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามานุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, if you'd like to slowly make your way out of meditation, I'd like to once again welcome all of you guys that are here at the temple. Welcome to Wat Tung. Welcome to everyone who joined us since we started meditating. Welcome to everyone who's online as well. As I mentioned, today is our group learning program, and you can learn the teachings of the Buddha of how to move your mind closer and closer to the enlightened mind. For those of you guys that are here for the first time, I'd like you to know that there's a bathroom in the very back of the room, the very last door on the right. You're welcome to use it at any time. There's even bathrooms outside the classroom. If you follow the signs outside in the main temple complex, it'll take you around to the main bathrooms that you're welcome to use. We even have water and things like this over here that our students provide that you're welcome to help yourself to. Make yourself comfortable as you are here at the temple. So what a Buddha does is a Buddha gets to enlightenment by themselves. They get to this enlightened mental state where their mind's peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy and all those other qualities that I mentioned. And they do this without teachers or without guides. They have the wisdom to be able to accomplish this on their own without the help of anybody. And then once they awaken to enlightenment, they dedicate the rest of their life to sharing their independently discovered teachings so that countless people can get to enlightenment during their lifetime. And then they preserve their teachings in such a way that countless more people get to enlightenment after their death. These are the three main criteria of what make a Buddha, is that they get to enlightenment by themselves without the help of any teachers or any guides. They then dedicate the rest of their life to sharing their independently discovered teachings with countless people. And they preserve their teachings in such a way that countless more people get to enlightenment after their death. So the Buddha, during his lifetime, over 2,500 years ago, figured out how to get to enlightenment without the help of any teachers or any guides. And he met all three of these criteria. And he did this through sharing what's called the middle way. The topic for today's class is he understood that when he was living in the royal palace as a prince, destined to become a king, that he was indulging in all these sensual pleasures. His father had kind of sequestered him into the palace and gave him all these royal riches and wonderful food, beautiful women bathing him, amazing clothing and entertainment and all these different things, trying to woo him into the way of being a monarch. But then when he left the royal palace at the age of 29 and went into this life of homelessness, he went all the way on the other side of that. He started starving himself, eating just 1 grain of rice per day. He started hanging himself upside down from trees and piercing his body with metal implements and laying on beds of nails. These are things that people were sharing with him about how to get to enlightenment. And he ultimately realized that those things didn't work. And he ultimately discovered what we refer to as the middle way. And one of the things that really helped him to be able to discover this middle way is that there was a period of time where he went off on his own trying to get to enlightenment, and he was on death's doorstep, that he was meditating in the forest. His body was emaciated. His ribs were protruding. His facial bones were protruding. He was basically skin and bones. And this mother and this young daughter came by and saw that he was about to die, and they pleaded with him to eat some rice. And he reluctantly accepted this rice. And when he did, he realized in that moment that he wasn't practicing the middle way. When he was in the palace, he was living this life of luxury. But when he left, he was living this life of asceticism, where he was disparaging the body and causing harm to the physical body. Because the thought was that if you could cause harm to the physical body and your mind could overcome that you would be able to get to enlightenment. But he realized that that wasn't true, because he had taken both to really far extremes. And he realized that he wasn't living the middle way. And when this food was offered to him by the mother and the young daughter, he realized that he needed to eat. So he started eating, and he started to understand this middle way. And over the next 4 years, essentially a total of 6 years, he ultimately gets to enlightenment. And he discovered what we refer to as the middle way. What the middle way is the Eightfold Path. This is a teaching that I shared last week in this group learning program. This is the core central teaching of the Buddha, where you learn these 8 individual factors that you dial into your life, and you practice these very closely. And this is what trains your mind and uproots the pollution out of the mind and ultimately produces the enlightened mental state. That your mind in the unenlightened state has certain pollutions that you need to get rid of. And when you get rid of those pollutions, you'll see the brightness and the radiance and the joy, the peace, the calmness, all of these qualities of enlightenment start shining through. But if you don't know the wisdom of this Eightfold Path and all the other natural laws that the Buddha taught, you wouldn't know how to train your mind, because you're not a Buddha. You wouldn't be able to do it on your own. You would need help from teachers and guides. So the teachings of the Buddha, it's not about a bunch of beliefs of things that you believe and then you hope something good happens when you die. It's also not about a bunch of rules and commandments, that if you follow these rules and commandments, then the world will become a peaceful place. It's also not about rites and rituals and ceremonies and worship, even though you might see those things and people attributing them to the teachings of the Buddha. What it's all about is training your own mind. And the middle way is that training that you need in order to move your mind to this enlightened mental state. So the Buddha describes this middle way through an analogy that he teaches about this musical instrument. This is a sitar. It's something that's used in India. And this is a stringed instrument, but we might even use the same analogy with a guitar or something like this, any kind of stringed instrument. That if a stringed instrument has a string tuned very, very tightly and you plucked the string, the instrument doesn't play beautiful music. It doesn't play the way that the instrument was intended to play. But also, if it was too loose and you plucked the string, the instrument also doesn't sound beautiful. It doesn't play the way that it was intended to play. And your mind is exactly the same way, that when you hold on to things real tight, it's not performing well. But also when you're over here and you're just kind of lackadaisical and indifferent about your life, your mind's not performing well there either. It feels dull and lethargic. So it's only when you tune your mind to the middle, just like an instrument, that when you tune that string perfectly to the middle and you pluck it, it plays beautiful music. It plays the way that this instrument was intended to play. And your mind is exactly the same way, that when you tune it to the middle, that it performs optimally. This is why you get the peace, the calmness, the serenity, the contentedness, and the joy. This is why you don't experience discontentedness anymore. This is why you experience the blossoming of your personal, professional relationships. You experience focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory. You can get to the point where you don't even have a bad mood anymore, because you fine-tuned your mind to be in the middle. And it's the Eightfold Path, these 8 individual factors that you're fine-tuning the mind with. And as part of learning and growing on the path to enlightenment, you would need to learn this teaching very closely. And if you weren't here last week, it's okay, because all of our classes are recorded on YouTube, on our podcast. We have a Facebook group. We have books that you can learn this in. We have audiobooks that you can learn. All this stuff is available for you at no cost, even personal guidance as well. So you would need to learn this Eightfold Path where it brings your mind to the middle and you fine-tune your mind, uprooting this pollution. And you can apply this teaching of the middle way to not just your mind and practicing the Eightfold Path, because that is the middle way, but you can apply this middle way to any number of aspects of your life. That the Buddha applied it to training your mind and using the Eightfold Path, but this same simple teaching of the middle way and bringing your mind to the middle can be applied to countless things in your life. So it's a very simple teaching, but it's very profound when you apply it. So for example, say you were spending an exorbitant amount of time with your friends and out with your friends all the time, partying it up, running around the streets, doing all those kinds of things. Well, you're on one side, right? And this isn't going to lead to any beneficial results. You're going to get exhausted. You're not going to be attending to your work. You're not going to potentially be having an income that you need, and so forth and so on. But also, if you're on the other side and you never spend time with your friends or having social interaction, you're not going to feel peaceful and joyful there either. So you need to come to the middle where you spend time with your friends, and you do that in the middle way where you're not doing it excessively, but you're not doing it at all either, that you spend some time with other people. You can apply this to something like maybe like the maintenance of your home, if you had a home, or the maintenance of this physical body. That if you were excessively brushing your teeth and combing your hair and trying to get every last little thing off of your skin, or fixing and maintaining your home, you would be doing that excessively and obsessively with the mind. But also, if you were on the other side and you were indifferent about the health of this body, and you were indifferent about maintaining your home or your other material possessions, you're not going to be able to have the things that you need in order to sustain your life. So you need to come to the middle where you take care of this body. Take a shower maybe once or twice or however many times a day. You're brushing your teeth, you're doing these kinds of things, or you're maintaining your home. If there's certain things you need to do in order to maintain your home, you do those things, and you do it from the middle way without this obsession where you're chasing and holding on to things, but you also do it without this indifference where you could care less about what's going on with the health of this body or the maintenance of your home, for example. You can take this same approach with learning. In learning the teachings of the Buddha. Whereas if you were chasing after enlightenment and you were longing and yearning and chasing and wanting to get enlightened so badly, you're not going to ever get to it that way. But also, if you were over here and you were indifferent and you could care less about your mind and you could care less about how you treat people and how you interact in the world, you were indifferent to things, you're not going to be able to get to enlightenment that way either, because you're two opposite sides of the spectrum. So coming to the middle way for something like the path to enlightenment would be to pursue it as a goal, as an objective, or an interest. And you would like to do this with all aspects of your life, that you have certain goals that you're gradually working towards, realizing that you're not going to accomplish all your goals in the set time frame that you set out to set it with. So if you set a goal and you're expecting and you're wanting that, you're craving. It's not an actual goal yet. But also, if you were over here and you could care less and you just haphazardly were walking through life, you're not going to experience peace and joy there either. So you need to have goals. You need to have objectives that you're gradually working towards, realizing that you're not always going to get to those goals and objectives in a certain time frame that it is that you've set out to achieve those things. So if you set a certain goal for 4 weeks from now, you gradually work towards that, all the while realizing that you may or may not accomplish that within the time frame that you've allocated. But when you get to the 4-week period of time, if you accomplish your goal, great. And if you didn't accomplish your goal, you look at it, you're like, all right, well, I've gotten about 60 or 70% of the way there. So let me just extend my timeline. And now let me just continue to work towards this goal. Let me add another 2 weeks, or let me add another 4 weeks, right? And you just gradually work towards that goal. But if you really want this thing badly, you'll cause yourself discontentedness. Your mind will get angry and frustrated because you didn't get what you wanted. So fine-tuning the mind is to come to this middle way where you're using the Eightfold Path that the Buddha taught, which are 8 individual steps right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. You learn these with the original words of the Buddha through studying his teachings, and then a teacher guiding you through to understand how to integrate it into your life. This isn't a teaching that you believe. This isn't something like that. Instead, you're learning it, you're investigating it, you're examining it, then you're reflecting on it in order to independently verify it, and then you're practicing it by integrating it into your life. And as you do, it's working to eliminate the pollutions of your mind, and then that's where you see the brightness and the radiance and the joy of the enlightened mind start shining through, because you're getting all this pollution out of the mind. This Eightfold Path is organized into wisdom, moral conduct, and mental discipline. This is how it's actually organized, and you can think of it this way, and I teach it this way in 3 individual sections, or sometimes I kind of go through it as an overview as one particular teaching, but there's actually classes that I've taught where I've gone into each one of these individually. There's even little mini lessons on YouTube where, I maybe spend 5 to 7 minutes on each one of these that you can learn it if you'd like. And this is what is going to train your mind and kind of tweak your mind. If you had a speaker system and you were trying to get a really good quality sound out of the speakers, you might have these 8 dials that you're individually dialing in one by one, and you're tweaking it more and more. And as you do, you get a better and better quality sound out of the speakers. And the same thing is true with your mind. And this is how you actually dial it in. So this is what the Buddha has taught, and this is what it will lead to your enlightenment. You'll notice that the mind is becoming more and more peaceful in all those certain qualities that I mentioned associated with enlightenment. But then when you find the middle way in relationship to certain aspects and certain things in your life, you're going to notice that it's not that you lock onto the middle way and then you just drive that home, because that would be permanence, that you just lock onto something and then just drive it home like a straight line. That's not the way that the middle way works. Is that your mind might be on one side, let's just say with something like generosity. Say you're giving and sharing with the people around you. This is an important quality that you need to have in order to get to enlightenment. And say at one particular time in your life, you have, extra time, you have extra resources, and you're able to share that quite extensively. And you've kind of found the middle way for yourself, right? But then as life goes on, things are going to change because of impermanence. You might find that you need more money or more time for yourself or for other people, and this path is going to ebb and flow. So at one time where you've maybe have found the middle way with something in terms of giving and sharing, and you're able to do that to a certain extent, as your life changes, maybe you've had a child, maybe you're going away to college or university, maybe you've had other things that are occurring where you need to focus more on your own mind and your own training, your own development. Maybe you're getting to a point where you can't share as much as you once did. You still would like to share. You're always interested in practicing generosity. But if you were to hold on to what you did at one particular time in your life, and now all the variables start changing due to impermanence, and you were to hold on to that thing, then you're going to experience discontentedness. So on one side, if you were to hold on to your resources and your time and your effort and your energy, and you weren't generous at all, you would be quite selfish. And this would cause the mind to experience difficulties and struggles. But also, if you were over here and you just shared everything and anything that you had, and you were just sharing without any thought or any consideration to your own needs, you're not going to be peaceful and joyful there either. So with something like generosity, you need to even practice this from the middle way. And then when you find that middle, you'll notice that the mind will be peaceful. It's almost like you take a fresh breath, whether it's with generosity or spending time with your friends or family, or whether it's maintaining your body or your home or anything like this. As you find the middle way, the mind will be peaceful. When your mind's stressed and having anxiety, you're not in the middle. Or when you're feeling dull or lethargic or complacent, you're not in the middle. The mind hasn't come to the middle yet in that particular thing. So even with something like generosity, you need to find the middle where you feel comfortable, like, I noticed that you're being more generous. You're noticing you're being more generous on a daily basis. But then understand that that's going to ebb and flow, just like this pathway, that it's not just start at the beginning of the path and then head straight for the mountain. It's you're ebbing and flowing as you're moving towards the mountain. This path is kind of winding and turning, and you need to be attentive to that. So where sometimes people might approach a set of teachings like the Buddha and think that, okay, just tell me what I should do. What are the rules? Just tell me what I should do. The teachings of the Buddha aren't that way. The teachings of the Buddha are teaching you how to eliminate your pollutions out of your mind, helping you to cultivate wisdom, and then you make the decisions that are best for your life. Moving to a higher consciousness is to get rid of the pollutions of your mind, to be able to have wisdom. And then when you take in any particular variables in life, as you take in those variables, you look at that and decide what's the wisest decision for you based on the wisdom that you have. So a teacher, the Buddha, he's not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do in any one part of your life. Instead, it's up to you to decide what you would like to do in your life. But with a lack of wisdom, you're going to make unwise decisions that produce unwholesome results. And then when you have wisdom, you'll make wise decisions that produce wholesome results. So one of the wise decisions is to learn the Eightfold Path, bring the mind to the middle, get rid of these pollutions, learn the training and the techniques of how to do that. And now when you find the middle in your life, you'll find that on all these different topics, whether it's your job, whether it's your social life, whether it's your finances, whether it's maintaining the health of the body or any of these other things, as you find the middle with each one of these topics, your mind will be at ease. You will be peaceful. You'll be joyful because you found the middle. But when you're holding on to something real tight, or you're over here and you're indifferent, you're not going to experience the peace and the joy. So this is actually all I have to share with you guys. As I mentioned, it's a very simple, very basic teaching that I can teach you in a very short period of time. Oftentimes these classes are, like an hour and a half long, but this is a very simple, very basic teaching. I think in this book, it might be one of the shortest chapters. You could probably read it in about 10 minutes or maybe 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up to whatever questions you guys have related to this particular teaching or anything else that you guys would like to talk about related to the teachings of the Buddha. If you're here at the temple and you would like to ask questions, I would just ask that if you could use the microphones here in the white bowl in front of the camera, that then the people online will be able to hear you and will be able to hear you at the temple too. If you get a microphone, there's a gray button on the front. You just press it, the lights come on, you hold it up to your chin, and we'll be able to hear you here and they'll be able to hear you online as well. And for those of you guys online, if you would like to come into the discussion and ask questions and things like that, all you need to do is put it into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section. I'll be able to see it here. Or if you're in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and ask any questions that you like. And for those of you guys that are here, if you end up getting a microphone, you can just keep it with you at your seat because you might have more than one question or people around you might have questions and you can just share the microphone around. So do you guys have any questions on this particular teaching or anything related to the teachings of the Buddha at all? Not seeing any questions here. Okay, let me see if we have anything online. Not seeing anything online either. Okay. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, I can end class, but I just like to be sure you guys don't have any questions before I finish the class. No? Okay, so this is a very simple teaching. As I mentioned, it's very basic, very simple. You can apply it to many different aspects of your life. As you do, you'll find the peace and you'll find the joy. It's this Eightfold Path that I mentioned that's really going to help you fine-tune your mind. And if you'd like to learn this Eightfold Path, you can use any of the resources that I mentioned, like the books, the audiobooks, the videos, the podcast. You can come to the classes, courses, and retreats that we have. I have a course starting next week on, I think it's June 3rd, that it's a Foundation and the Path to Enlightenment course where you can learn all the foundational teachings. It's right here at the temple from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can find all the details on our website, buddhadailywisdom.com. The books that I share, this book series, you can also download that from our website for free. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by just reimbursing us for that. Or you can order these on Amazon if you like, if you have access to Amazon in your country. Next week on Sunday, I'm going to be teaching chapter 7, which is titled The 5 Precepts, A Householder's Guide to Daily Practice. These are 5 impactful decisions that you can make either wisely or unwisely. And if you make these decisions in a wise way, you're going to experience wholesome results. But if you make these decisions in an unwise way, you're going to experience unwholesome results. So I'm going to use the words of the Buddha to be able to help you understand what these 5 precepts are. If you've learned that the Buddha taught no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, no intoxicants, you haven't studied the words of the Buddha yet on this topic, that the Buddha didn't teach that way. He didn't say, no, 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 no intoxicants, no this, no this, no that. He actually used much more illuminating language when he describes the 5 precepts. So I'm going to be using that language so you can see his actual words of what he taught on this topic, and then we're going to apply it to modern day experiences, because when the Buddha taught, he taught in a timeless way. His words, and when you learn his words, he's teaching you in a way that applied during his life 2,500 years ago. He's describing these natural laws and helping you to understand why your mind experiences what it experiences and why you experience what you experience in daily life. In those words that he used, it's timeless, because the natural laws that he taught about are the same natural laws that existed during his lifetime that exist now. So his teachings aren't stuck in a cultural past. Instead, it's very timeless. The way when you see his teachings, it applies during his life and it applies today as well. So that's what I'm going to be teaching next week on Sunday. And I do that at 9 a.m. here at the temple, and I also do it at 9 p.m. from home. So no matter where you are in the world, you could attend a live stream looking at your own time zone. And then if you can't attend the live class, then you can listen to the recording, because it's going to be on YouTube, it's going to be on our Facebook group, and it'll be on our podcast as well. And then this Wednesday, I'm going to be here doing meditation with you guys. And then usually what I do is open up to any and all questions that you guys have. And sometimes students have quite a few questions, and other times they don't have very many questions. This is impermanent, so it's always up to you. I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to guide you, but you're on your own independent journey to enlightenment. So if there's something that you would like to ask me or get help with, you're always welcome to talk during classes. You're welcome to ask those questions in our Facebook group. You're welcome to send private messages. You're even welcome to come talk with me privately, either here at the temple or even online. You can meet with me and schedule appointments. So thank you all for joining. Those of you guys here at the temple, thank you for everyone online. As you need help, just feel free to reach out, and I'm here to help you. So have a very wonderful and lovely rest of your day. Take care. Sawadee krap. Sawadee krap. Sawadee krap. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.